I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 Well, thank you so much for joining me today here where am I at? I'm in the Rocky Mountains at White River National Forest on the trail that leads to Peru Creek, if that tells you anything. Thank you all so much for joining me today and studying A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version today, and we're ready for lesson 54, which is for Sunday, February the 23rd of 2025. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. And before we read the 5 paragraphs that go with that lesson, let's go back and take a look at our text reading for today. And it's a little longer, so I'm just going to let Jesus do most of the talking, and I won't say a whole lot. And it's in chapter 7, The Gifts of the Kingdom, Healing and the Changelessness of Mind. The body is nothing more than a framework for developing abilities, which is quite apart from what they are used for. That is a decision. The effects of the ego's decision in this matter are so apparent that they need no elaboration. But the Holy Spirit's decision to use the body only for communication has such a direct connection with healing that it does need clarification. The unhealed healer obviously does not understand his own vocation. The unhealed healer does not understand his own vocation. Paragraph 2. Only minds communicate. Since the ego cannot obliterate the impulse to communicate, because it is also the impulse to create, it can only teach you that the body can both communicate and create, and therefore does not need the mind. The ego thus tries to teach you that the body can act like the mind, and is therefore self-sufficient. Yet we have learned that behavior is not the level for either teaching or learning, since you can act in accordance with what you do not believe. Since you can act in accordance with what you do not believe. To do this, however, will weaken you as a teacher and a learner, because, as has been repeatedly emphasized, you teach what you do believe. An inconsistent lesson will be poorly taught and poorly learned. If you teach both sickness and healing, you are both a poor teacher and a poor learner. Paragraph 3. Healing is the one ability everyone can develop and must develop if he is to be healed. That's a key idea. Healing is the one ability everyone can develop and must develop if he is to be healed. Healing is the Holy Spirit's form of communication in this world, and the only one he accepts. He recognizes no other, because he does not accept the ego's confusion of mind and body. Minds can communicate, but they cannot hurt. The body in the service of the ego can hurt other bodies, but this cannot occur unless the body has already been confused with the mind. This situation, too, can be used either for healing or for magic, but you must remember that magic always involves the belief that healing is harmful. This belief is its totally insane premise, and so it proceeds accordingly. Paragraph 4. Healing only strengthens. Magic always tries to weaken. Healing perceives nothing in the healer that everyone else does not share with him. Magic always sees something special in this healer, which he believes he can offer as a gift to someone who does not have it. He may believe that the gift comes from God to him, but it is quite evident that he does not understand God if he thinks he has something that others lack. Paragraph 5. The Holy Spirit, that's also another key idea. He may believe that the gift comes from God to him, but it is quite evident that he does not understand God if he thinks he has something that others lack. Wow. We all are equal in God. That's our true, you might think of it as our potential, but it's the latent reality that's underneath the appearances. Paragraph 5. The Holy Spirit does not work by chance, and healing that is of him always works. Unless the healer always heals by him, the results will vary. Yet healing itself is inconsistent, since only consistency is conflict-free, and only the conflict-free are whole. By accepting exceptions and acknowledging that he can sometimes heal and sometimes not, the healer is obviously accepting inconsistencies. He is therefore in conflict, and is teaching conflict. Can anything of God not be for all and for always? Love is incapable of any exceptions. Another key idea. Love is incapable of any exceptions. Only if there is fear does the idea of exceptions seem to be meaningful. Exceptions are fearful because they are made by fear. The fearful healer is a contradiction in terms, and is therefore a concept that only a conflicted mind could possibly perceive as meaningful. 6. Fear does not gladden, healing does. Another key idea. Fear does not gladden, healing does. Fear always makes exceptions, healing never does. Fear produces dissociation because it induces separation. Healing always produces harmony because it proceeds from integration. It is predictable because it can be counted on. Everything that is of God can be counted on because everything of God is wholly real. Healing can be counted on because it is inspired by His voice and is in accord with His laws. Yet if healing is consistent, it cannot be inconsistently understood. Understanding means consistency, because God means consistency. Since that is His meaning, it is also yours. Your meaning cannot be out of accord with His, because your whole meaning and your only meaning comes from His and is like His. God cannot be out of accord with Himself, and you cannot be out of accord with Him. You cannot separate yourself from your Creator, who created you by sharing His being with you. 7. The unhealed healer wants gratitude from his brothers, but he is not grateful to them. The unhealed healer wants gratitude from his brothers, but he is not grateful to them. Remember, what you give is what you're going to receive. That is because he thinks he is giving something to them and is not receiving something equally desirable in return. His teaching is limited because he is learning so little. His healing lesson is limited by his own ingratitude, which is a lesson in sickness. True learning is constant and so vital in its power for change that a son of God can recognize his power in one instant and change the world in the next. That is because by changing his mind, he has changed the most powerful device that was ever given him for change. This in no way contradicts the changelessness of mind as God created it, but you think that you have changed it as long as you learn through the ego. This places you in a position of needing to learn a lesson that seems contradictory. You must learn to change your mind about your mind. Only by this can you learn that it is changeless. Did you follow all that? You might have to read that a few times, maybe a few years. This places you in a position of needing to learn a lesson that seems contradictory. You must learn to change your mind about your mind. Only by this can you learn that it is changeless. It's things like that. That's why I keep reading it. Paragraph 8. When you heal, that is exactly what you are learning. You are recognizing the changeless mind in your brother by realizing that he could not have changed his mind. That is how you perceive the Holy Spirit in him. See the changeless love in him. It is only the Holy Spirit in him that never changes his mind. He himself may think he can, or he would not perceive himself as sick. He therefore does not know what his self is. If you see only the changeless in him, you have not really changed him. By changing your mind about his for him, you help him undo the change his ego thinks it has made in him. Wow, all the illusions that are going on with the ego. Paragraph 9. But they're only illusions. But we can change our mind from illusion to truth, from fear to love, from the ego to God. Listen to the Holy Spirit. Paragraph 9. As you can hear two voices, so you can see in two ways. One way shows you an image or an idol that you may worship out of fear, but will never love. The other shows you only truth, which you will love because you will understand it. Understanding is appreciation, because what you understand, you can identify with, and by making it part of you, you have accepted it with love. Let's read that sentence again. Understanding is appreciation, because what you understand, you can identify with. And by making it part of you, you have accepted it with love. That is how God himself created you, in understanding, in appreciation, and in love. The ego is totally unable to understand this because it does not understand what it makes, does not appreciate it, and does not love it. It incorporates to take away. It literally believes that every time it deprives someone of something, it has increased. I have spoken often of the increase of the kingdom by your creations, which can only be created as you were. The whole glory and perfect joy that is the kingdom lies in you to give. Do you not want to give it? Paragraph 10. You cannot forget the Father because I am with you, and I cannot forget him. To forget me is to forget yourself and him who created you. Let's read that again. You cannot forget the Father because I am with you, and I cannot forget him. To forget me is to forget yourself and him who created you. Our brothers are forgetful. That is why they need your remembrance of me and of him who created me. Through this remembrance, you can change their minds about themselves as I can change yours. Your mind is so powerful a light that you can look into theirs and enlighten them, as I can enlighten yours. I do not want to share my body in communion, because this is to share nothing. Would I try to share an illusion with the most holy children of a most holy Father? Yet I do want to share my mind with you, because we are of one mind, and that mind is ours. See only this mind everywhere, because only this is everywhere and in everything. It is everything because it encompasses all things within itself. Blessed are you who perceive only this, because you perceive only what is true. And the last paragraph, 11. Come therefore unto me, and learn of the truth in you. Come therefore unto me, and learn of the truth in you. The mind we share is shared by all our brothers, and as we see them truly, they will be healed. Let your mind shine with mine upon their minds, and by our gratitude to them make them aware of the light in them. This light will shine back upon you and on the whole sonship, because this is your proper gift to God. He will accept it and give it to the sonship, because it is acceptable to Him and therefore to His sons. This is true communion with the Holy Spirit, who sees the altar of God in everyone. And by bringing it to your appreciation, He calls upon you to love God and His creations, or His creation. Let's read that again. He will accept it and give it to the sonship, because it is acceptable to Him and therefore to His sons. This is true communion with the Holy Spirit, who sees the altar of God in everyone, the devotion to God. He sees the devotion to God in everyone. And by bringing it to your appreciation, you're to see the devotion or the altar to God in everyone. And by bringing it to your appreciation, remember, appreciation is what we're supposed to give. Complete appreciation is our gift to everyone. He calls upon you to love God and His creation. One more time now. This is true communion with the Holy Spirit, who sees the altar of God in everyone, and by bringing it to your appreciation, He calls upon you to love God and His creation. You can appreciate the sonship only as one. This is part of the law of creation, and therefore governs all thought. Okay. Now, before we read our lesson for today, our 5 paragraphs, I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. So this idea that the things that we see are the result of the thoughts that we think, and that we're not seeing anything alone. We have the reason we're here now with the people that are around us on the world and around us, the closer they get to us, we've drawn them to us because of our thinking. And everything that happens to us is because of our thinking. And so let's be determined to see. Let's let our thoughts be full appreciation for the sonship. Let's see the altar of God in everyone. Okay, let's see what is going on around the world. Didn't find any world religious holidays, but this ought to be one. It was in Holidays and Observances. World Understanding and Peace Day. Remember what it said? To understand is you can't appreciate something if you don't understand it. So we want to understand our brothers, see the altar of God in everyone. Even if they don't see it, you can see it for them. World Understanding, which automatically leads to peace. Might call World Understanding and Peace Day, might be another way of saying A Course of Miracles Day. It is Meatfare Sunday. Actually, I did find the Orthodox Christians, the Greek Orthodox and the Russian Orthodox, they have this Sunday is Meatfare Sunday, which is the last Sunday before the beginning of Lent. So, and the Orthodox, I don't think they eat any meat during Lent. So, Meatfare Sunday, they probably live it up on meat, huh? Hospitality Workers Appreciation Day, and we certainly want to appreciate people that help others, hospitality workers. And Rationalization Day. I didn't really look up what that all has to do with, but you know what? I've always thought that A Course in Miracles is very reasonable, very rational. It's faith that, yes, you might want to put your faith in it without understanding it, but at some point, the rationality and the clarity and the empirical understanding will even come to you. At least that's how I see it. We might have some scientists that like to argue that point, and I'd love to argue about it if they could do it in a way where they wouldn't be losing their peace. Okay, Sweet Charlie Strawberry. We're going to look at the strawberries out of Edible Landscaping, and they're the Fragaria ananases. And the Sweet Charlie was the first patented variety to come out of Florida University. Large conical fruit, winning the taste test in the 1994 North Carolina Strawberry Growers Meeting. Dark green, compact growth with fruit that lives up to its name, Sweet Charlie. Zones 7 through 9. And I can't help but think of my teacher that taught me yoga. Taught me the principles of Kriya Yoga from the lineage of Babaji. Well, through Babaji, Lahira Mayasaya, who then taught Sri Yukteswar. Sri Yukteswar then taught Paramahansa Yogananda. Paramahansa Yogananda taught Roy Eugene Davis. Roy Eugene Davis taught my teacher, Charlie Simpkins, and then Charlie Simpkins taught Willie. And if you want to learn it, I've shared a few times, learning how to bring the energy up from the spinal cord up to the crown chakra. As you inhale and as you exhale, let the energy go back down, and do that with your focused consciousness up and down. That's your Kriya Yoga. It's said that it speeds up evolution of if a man was going to take 1,000 years to reach enlightenment, he could do it in 1,000 minutes or whatever. It speeds it up. 1 year of natural evolution can be reduced down to 1 minute in Kriya Yoga. I find it goes quite nicely with A Course in Miracles as something that I do with it. Okay, now let's go take a look at lesson 54. These are the review ideas for today. I have no neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power. They will either make a false world or lead you to the real one. But thoughts cannot be without effects. As the world I see arises from my thinking errors, so will the real world rise before my eyes as I let my errors be corrected. My thoughts cannot be neither true nor false. They must be one or the other. What I see shows me which they are. What I see shows me what I'm thinking. I see no neutral things. What I see witnesses to what I think. If I did not think, I would not exist, because life is thought. And remember that René Descartes said that. I think, therefore I am. Anyway, Jesus saying, if I did not think, I would not exist, because life is thought. Let me look on the world I see as the representation of my own state of mind. I know that my state of mind can change, and so I also know the world I see can change as well. Review lesson 18, our number 3rd one. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. If I have no private thoughts, I cannot see a private world. Even the mad idea of separation had to be shared before it could form the basis of the world I see, yet that sharing was a sharing of nothing. I can also call upon my real thoughts, which share everything with everyone. As my thoughts of separation call to the separation thoughts of others, so my real thoughts awaken the real thoughts in them. And the world my real thoughts show me will dawn on their sight as well as on mine. And review lesson 19, our 4th one. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I'm not alone in nothing. I am alone in nothing. Everything I think or say or do teaches all the universe. A son of God cannot think or speak or act in vain. He cannot be alone in anything. It is therefore in my power to change every mind along with mine, for mine is the power of God. And then lesson 20 review, our 5th review today. I am determined to see. Recognizing the shared nature of my thoughts, I'm determined to see. I would look upon the witnesses that show me the thinking of the world has been changed. I would behold the proof that what has been done through me has enabled love to replace fear, laughter to replace tears, and abundance to replace loss. I would look upon the real world and let it teach me that my will and the will of God are one. And I think we have plenty of time to do one of our 2-minute little practice periods as we close. Thanks again for joining me out here in the Rocky Mountains. I was doing a little, first time I ever went cross-country snow skiing today. It was a workout for me. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 Close your eyes. I have no neutral thoughts. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral. I have no neutral thoughts. Let's start again. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 Once again. I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. 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 I have no neutral thoughts. I see no neutral things. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. And out of Arabic, our word for peace, Salaam.